Hi, we're coming to you from Hideaway Homestead with a different idea than what some people probably think of for gardening or for growing their food. Our idea that we have heard about and learned about through various sources, and it sort of changed through the years from the standard garden to the idea of a hidden food forest using a lot of perennial vegetables. So right now we're in what we call our food forest area. The idea is that to anybody driving by or walking through our property, they're not going to recognize these plants for their food value, but some of these plants are so nutritious. You read the stats on them, so much more iron than spinach and more vitamin C than oranges and all those kinds of things, so that you get the idea this is very valuable for nutrition, but anybody walking by would just think this is a part of all the other undergrowth or normal plants in this wooded area. One of the things that we have planted here is the sweet potato vines. Now these have only been in the ground for a couple of weeks. We got cuttings from my sister's plants that were just taking over her backyard, and so these right now they're pretty hot. It's very hot out here today, upper 80s, maybe low 90s, and so they're a little wilted, but they've taken hold and will cover this area. But we've got vines growing in all the trees, so it's nothing unusual to see a vine growing around here, and people wouldn't know that there's food here. Right now we marked them, so they're not so disguised right now, I suppose, but we marked them with these tomato cages just so we can find them amongst all the other undergrowth. Another plant that is over here is the longevity spinach, and this is a perennial green plant that super nutritious, and right now it's wrapped with the tomato cage and chicken wire because this food forest area is also the run where the deer come and go, and so we don't want them to eat it before we can. We're protecting it until it can get a little better established. If you look up the longevity spinach, and I'll get some more statistics later on and maybe talk about this plant specifically, but super good. You can eat the leaves raw and put them in salads. So this is something that year-round we could come out here, pick the leaves. This is about 2 months old, so it's obviously not grown to anywhere near its full height. But hopefully in the future we can come out, pick enough food to make a meal, or add this highly nutritious leaf to our salads, and after we remove the chicken wire and the tomato cage, it'll just be another plant out here among so many. Another plant that we have planted and are looking forward to harvesting from is a velvet runner bean. David the Good talks about these on his videos a couple of times, and this bean is very nutritious. It's used to help people with diabetes and blood pressure problems and several other health issues. These beans we planted about a month ago from seed, and we marked them because we have so many other vines growing around here that we wanted to make sure that we knew if they even came up. The good thing was we soaked them, I think, for a couple of hours before we planted them, and within 4 days they had already come up and were growing so quickly. These are planted intentionally near these shorter scrub oaks so that they can grow up and be supported by the oaks, and there again, after time, you won't even notice them. If you follow this one up, you can see that it grasped a hold of the oak, and that vine in 1 month is already up here higher than me, and here's another one, I think, that's taller than that, and they're just going to grow all among these. Kevin, if you can pan over to that one over there, you get an idea of, you don't even notice that that is a food source, but these, they just took off. I planted a whole lot of them because I didn't know if they would be successful or not, but evidently this is a good place to grow them. This area of our property has been woods and forest area for probably 100 years or more, and recently, from fire and hurricanes, several of the big oak trees have fallen or been destroyed. So this dirt, is much more nutritious or fertile than the average dirt around here, which is sand, pretty much. But these have been able to, with the leaf debris that's degrading and nourishing it, these have really taken hold. So my lack of faith in planting gazillion of them, we're going to have a gazillion plants, because I think every one that we planted, and we marked them with mulch and we put the little stakes in them just to see if they would come up, and we've been very successful with that. So we're very happy about the velvet runner beans. According to things I read on the internet, we might be able to have a harvest already this fall, and if not, then they should come back or last through the fall and winter here in Central Florida and be a perennial that we can harvest from in the future. The seeds themselves are very valuable on the internet, and they're ground up to make, I don't know what to call it, I guess just like almost like a prescription kind of a herbal benefit for people, and so yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a really good thing for us. One more perennial food source that grows so well in Central Florida is a CHAYA or CHAYA spinach tree. Oh my goodness, on the internet they've got all kinds of different names for this, but that's the one that I'm most familiar with. These small little plants here we purchased from a guy in Jonathan in Lakeland, and they have done so well for us. We planted them probably 3 weeks ago. These leaves, these plants grow up to be wonderful bushes or hedges even, and they're a nice looking plant when they're grown. They can bush out. They do pretty well in the Florida temperatures. I am hoping that ours will be protected because there are these palmetto nearby to shade them if we do get a frost, or to protect them, and a lot of trees nearby in this particular area. So hopefully they won't get hit with a hard frost this year. But these leaves are super nutritious also. The statistics on them just are so interesting from what I've read on the internet, and people who know their stuff about these plants. They're grown several places in the world and common food. Some people, they don't even recognize them when they pass them on the side of the road or realize their benefits or their food value. But here they are, and you can pick these leaves, cook them like spinach. I read that you do need to cook them at least for a minute or so, but you can make a tea out of them, you can put them in stews or soups, you can eat them like spinach. Several people online said that the leaves don't shrink up like a spinach does. You know, you start out with a big old pot of spinach and you end up with a half a cup once it's cooked down. These evidently keep their shape a little better so that you end up with the amount that you started with or pretty close to it. They are just so good to grow, and I'm hoping that we can get these to be tall, bushy plants and then propagate others off of it so that in the future we can have a whole lot of them. Once the deer get used to seeing them or smelling them and are no longer a problem, then we'll take these coverings off and Nobody will know what they're looking at when they walk by, but we know how much good we can get out of them. I hope that learning about a couple of these hidden food forest plants it's been interesting to you, and that maybe as we talk about other plants in the future and give you an idea of other perennials that we're developing, that'll be something that might be helpful to you. Maybe you can grow things like these CHAYA in your yard and have a food source in your front yard that people don't even recognize. So I hope that's helpful to you, and let us know if you have any questions about them, and I'd also encourage you to look online and get all these good details on the nutrition and all those kind of things from it too. Talk to you next time.